Hey, welcome to the First Slovakia podcast. This is episode 2, and today I'm here in the office with Kimie, and we've brought a very special, unique guest in today.
The best guest ever.
The best guest on the podcast to this point. Because we've not had another guest on yet.
That's true.
Brandon
I'm setting the bar very high.
Brandon Cruz, our youth pastor here at First Slovakia, is joining us today. And again, one of the purposes of this podcast is that you can get to know really your church staff a little bit better, but also that we can give you a little bit of information and kind of bring you into a conversation of what's happening here at the church. And so we're going to play a little game here with Brandon to get started, and I'm going to throw it over to Kimie, who's going to lead us through the game.
All right. So this feels very much like youth group, where we start off with like a get to know you.
Here's an icebreaker.
Here's our icebreaker. Okay, Brandon, have you ever played the game Two Truths and a Lie?
No, yes.
That's
I've played
That
this.
is his lie. Okay, so how you play this game, it's very simple. You tell us two truths and a lie, not necessarily in that order, and then we have to try to guess which one is the lie. So it'll show us how well we know you, and how well you know us. So I'll go first.
Okay.
I have ridden on a gondola in Italy. That's number 1. Number 2, my dad was Weird Al Yankovic's boss. And number 3...
That'd be impressive, by the way.
Yeah,
Number 3, I have walked in the footsteps of the Apostle Paul in Thessaloniki, Greece.
Thessaloniki. Okay.
Oh, see, that's like she just made up a word there. Doesn't exist.
So I am going to have to say my guess for that would be nobody would just pull Weird Al out.
I'm not going to guess that one because I want it to be true. Because I need to talk to him. The stories that he can tell.
You got some questions?
Yes. Who doesn't love Weird Al?
Some life. We've been living most of our lives living in a Amish paradise. That was
or the white and
kick
nerdy.
back to the 90s there.
Yes.
He did the white and nerdy song.
Or
That
the
was
fat,
my dad's
Instead of bad.
Oh,
eat
yeah.
Eat it. Come
Yeah.
on.
classic.
So that's, all right, so that one's out because I think that
Because your heart is
again,
saying that one has to be true.
I want it
I
to
think
be true.
that
Okay.
you wouldn't come up with that.
Okay.
Like that's
Off
so
the top.
a gondola ride, or what was the
I
other
thought
one?
a gondola is
Walking
like
in
that thing
Thessalonica?
that's outside. A gondola.
That can be. The gondolas are the
boats
boats
that
where
you
the
stand
guy in
in.
the stripy shirt sings as
Oh,
he's paddling
done that?
along.
You've done that where?
Like a bee.
Huh?
Where have you done that?
In Italy.
Who were you with?
Myself.
Yeah, she's lying.
Quit asking questions.
Yeah, that's
That's the lie.
that's the lie.
Dang
the
it.
lie.
See, this is... I'm the worst. Okay.
That was
So,
easy.
okay.
Boom, check. I
I'm
win.
a terrible liar.
Brandon's the best guest that's ever been on this show. Boom.
Brandon's never
so-
invited back.
Yeah.
Brandon, you go ahead on this one.
Two truths and a lie. Okay.
Are you going to do it in that order?
Yes.
Okay.
I have rapped in front of thousands of people. I have swam with manatees. And the third one is I got stranded in a swamp once and had to be rescued by Florida Wildlife and Game in the middle of the night, pre-hypothermia.
That story just kept going on and on.
that's the one that I'm going, nope, that one didn't happen.
I don't think you were rescued.
That's it.
Is it?
No,
That was your
No.
lie?
that's truth.
Oh.
I've never swam with manatees. I tried jumping on one once when I was little and it swam away really quick. But nope. Being in Florida, I've seen them but never swam with them.
How old were
Big
you?
refrigerator cows that swim in the ocean. No, yeah, I've never swam with manatees. I was stranded in a swamp once in college. We went rafting. Rafting in Florida. Again, these are just Florida stories as you see on the internet. We took air mattresses and went to float down this river. And
you were one of those guys.
yeah, we
huh?
were. And we got floating down the river, and before long, It had flooded the area because of a big storm that had come in Alabama. It kind of ran down this river and flooded everything. And before long, we got lost. The guy that was supposed to be leading us, telling us where we're supposed to be going, he eventually admitted to us that he had lied and he had never been where we were.
No.
And so we finally got out of the water.
Friends.
It was around 9:00 at night. And this is, big alligators and stuff in Florida. And so
That could have ended.
We started a
so
fire. There was
badly.
5 of us. I started a fire. We were burning everything because it was cold. This was in February for Florida, and the water was really cold. And so our friend had a phone and a GPS. He called. His dad gave him our coordinates, but he's like, "Y'all are in the middle of nothing." And so then our friend dropped his phone in the water, and so that went dead. And so we just had no clue what was going to happen. I was willing to just leave my friends and swim away to survive because I wasn't about to die in a river
This
in
sounds like
2008.
some kind
Did
of
you have a volleyball?
ridiculous
No, we did
movie.
not.
I know, it totally sounds like.
Oh, it was nuts. So me and the other
That's what
guy,
they built
Justin,
Castaway
we were
around.
trying to keep everything going. The other 3 guys were kind of sitting in a huddle trying to stay warm. And then eventually, we didn't know the time at all, but eventually
Did
we
you
heard.
eat any of your friends?
Not quite.
Was it that long?
Not that bad. If it would have gotten to that, I mean,
You already knew which one was going.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But no, we heard a
Podcast just went
siren.
dark.
We heard a siren off in the distance and saw blue lights pretty far off. And they came over the PA and was like, "Swim towards us." And in the middle of the night, we're swimming through.
No, thank you.
We're swimming through a swamp, hitting things on our legs. You can't see anything. You're just swimming and crawling through a swamp. And so we finally get out, and there's one of the police officers in Florida Wildlife and Game. They're like, "Is everybody here?" I was like, "Well, we had to eat one of the guys as a joke." He's like, he laughed. And he's like, "But no, seriously."
But
And I
for
was
real.
like, "Yeah, well, everybody's here." He goes, "There's some big gators in this area." I was like, "Yeah, no,
Well,
we're here." So
good for you guys to come to us rather than having us
Yeah.
swim to you then.
But honestly, Florida Wildlife and Game was there. They couldn't even get to us. They didn't have boats they could get to us. So they got as close as they could, which is about 1/8 of a mile away from where we were, and we just had to swim to them.
Wow.
So yeah, true story.
Fun times there.
But no manatees.
Okay.
I've never
How
done
sad.
that. Yeah, it's a sad
All
life.
right.
I've swam with sharks. I've swam with manatees. And I have skydived.
I don't think.
I thought about the skydiving, but I was like, I've never skydived. I want to skydive.
It's fun.
You're lying.
I think it's the skydiving.
Let's see. When you say swim with
think
sharks,
it's skydiving.
anybody that's been in the ocean has swim with sharks.
No, no, okay.
Done.
I have swam with sharks in such a way that I could reach out and touch them.
What kind of sharks?
Why does that
Brandon.
matter?
Because in Florida, I've swam with sharks and tried to grab some of these little nurse sharks. I mean, that's nothing. But they're considered sharks.
I feel like that's cheating by digging deeper
Yeah,
questions. You have to just
it
ask.
does
Like,
feel
No, it's not.
a little bit like a cheater
Okay,
move.
fine. I'm going to say you didn't skydive.
that's my vote too.
Man, I have not. I'm hoping to very soon.
Really?
But yeah, I really want to.
I want to as well.
Well, I'm turning 40 this year, so that's like the.
Let's
I
do
told
it.
Stephanie the other day.
I'm down for it.
So
See, to me, all it looks like is me jumping out and going, well, this is how it ends. Like that.
And if it does,
I
I'm
can't-
fine with that.
You're okay with that.
I am okay. I've got a great life insurance policy.
Oh, no.
Everyone will be taken care of.
well, in that case, I don't want to go with you because
Yeah.
I
I
don't
don't
want
want to
coming
die.
in
I'm just
and
saying.
being like life insurance. I think and getting the wrong
No,
shoot,
no,
man.
no.
Oh, man.
The closest I got was my brother's wedding. I was like, let's go skydiving. And his wife was like, no, you will not. Not on the night before our wedding. Like, what if something happens? I'm like, nothing will happen. But we didn't do it. So that's the closest I've ever been.
Well, this actually transitions well into what we're going to be talking about today, which is
Toxic influences, maybe.
how do you deal with toxic people, Brandon? Since you are one, I'd like to. No, just
Man,
kidding.
I very much appreciate
And
that.
anybody
Trying to
knows Brandon?
lead him astray.
Knows that's a lie.
No, it is an important topic, though.
It is, and it's
because-
difficult for us as Christians. How do we live out our Christian life and being godly and ministering to people while still protecting ourselves from toxic people, toxic situations?
People who just want to watch the world burn.
Yes.
So maybe a good place to start would be like how would we define a toxic person? Like we probably everybody
Yeah.
that's listening right now, just like us in this room, we've probably got an image or a figure or
Yes.
a representation of someone that we would think of as a toxic individual. So what would be some characteristics, some attributes for us to be able to define what exactly is a toxic person?
I think often toxic people are the ones, you've heard the phrase, it's the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over
And expecting a different
result. And I think that's similar with a toxic person. They continue to pound away and beat away at you, hoping for something out of you or something out of a situation. And I know that for me, the toxic people in my life have been ones who are relentless in their pursuit of destruction. I guess whether they're intentional about it or not.
Yeah.
Some people have grown up also in toxic situations, and that's all they know. That's how they know how to respond to situations. But still, they're the ones that are bringing about destruction.
I think whenever I think about it, I think more about kind of just an attribute of fully, just extremely selfish, like fully consumed by their own personal desires in such a way that if someone else steps in, it creates such a issue for them. So maybe selfishness being a huge part of how I would define that. Jealousy, constantly fighting, kind of like what you talked about, Kimie. Brandon, what do you think?
Yeah. I kind of think is it like an opposite to the fruits of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, like all of these attributes, but the reverse. More that they suck these things away from you. That, getting around toxic people, I find that they can walk in a room and everything changes, but it's not for the good.
Oh yeah.
It's a black hole of just hear me and my issues. I feel bad, therefore I want everybody to feel bad.
Right.
Or I can feel better by making everybody else feel bad. And I think those are both the same mindset, same thought process. And that's what I would explain as a toxic person. So
how do Christians deal with a situation like that? I mean, how should we deal with toxic people? Because there's obviously several different lines of thought about this. So let's just throw some of those out.
For me, I just say deuces and I'll leave and I'm
good luck. That actually is one.
No, there are times
one viable route.
Yeah, I think there are times where that is necessary. But I don't think that could be our end all as Christians, as followers of Jesus, and saying that Jesus loves you, but I sure don't right now. Deuces, I don't think that's helpful. So I find a lot of times it's case by case. Sometimes, if I'm honest, sometimes some of the most toxic people I've met are within the walls of church. I remember serving at a church once, and I won't say where in case they're listening. And if they are, man, I pray God change your life. But this person was just a bitter person and just not a fun person to be around. I would say a toxic person. And everybody said, well, that's just how that person is. That's just how they are. They've always been that way. And I said, well, Jesus changes us. The Bible says he changes everything about me. He made me a new creation. And now, because of him living in my life, I should see evidence of that. I should see fruits of the Spirit. And I never saw that in his life. And so I think, toxic people are everywhere, but it's a case-by-case basis for me. It's one, I think we got to pray for people 100%. But two, we've got to call sin a sin. I think we've got to not stray away from that. And sometimes we add to the toxicity of a person, or maybe the theology that they live behind, because we don't address some of these issues. We'd rather I'll get away from you, I'll stay away from you and your problems, and we let that just perpetuate in their life, and it just keeps cycling over and over. And so, that's I think where Jesus interrupts people. He interrupts
that's a good word.
The lady at the well. He interrupts the funeral procession. He says, hey, I've got something different here. And so I think we have to speak truth in those times of saying, hey, this is not okay. Now, I would never do that if somebody walked into a room of people and just be like, oh, this is that guy. Let me tell you right now in front of everybody. I think those conversations happen on the side, but I think it's got to come from a place of love and want. But far too often, I find myself trying so hard to attach myself to them. If I can only show them this, if I can only teach them this, and I just get drugged down and I get beat up. And there are times where I have to eventually wipe the dust off my shoes, wash my hands and say, I'm praying for you. I'm always here, but I can't just constantly be attached to you trying to fix your problems. At some point, you have to take responsibility for your actions. And if you continue to act this way and lead your life this way, I think it's going to lead to a path that's full of destruction.
Yeah. So there's a side of it that one of the responses that we can have legitimately is avoidance. The second is confrontation of sorts,
which I hate.
Yeah, I was going to say that's like
super
the
good.
word that you despise, confrontation.
So if you're listening right now, don't come and confront me with anything. Just keep it to yourself.
So if Brandon is toxic, come confront him.
Yeah.
I think I've heard other people say, you've got to learn to turn the other cheek. Jesus told people turn the other cheek, and so that's something that you just need to do. You
That's
just
such a
need
trigger
to let
for
them
me.
live in the way that
Like
they
in
are.
the church culture.
So, all right, since that,
It hurts me. You could tell it's like I'm getting a physical.
She got heartburn.
Physical reaction. I'm like, oh.
it's not the tacos.
It hurts me because I think so often in really churchy culture, we grow up hearing, you need to forgive, you need to forgive, you need to forgive. But we equate that with allowing a toxic person to have access to us again, or to parts of us, our family, our lives, our businesses, this and that. And that was not what Jesus was about. It's that same thing you were saying, confronting the sin. Jesus didn't go confront the sin and then go, okay, come step in and do it again. And I think it's a struggle. I've had so many conversations, especially I'm thinking people who've been abused. Yeah. And they say, what do you mean I'm supposed to forgive and then move on? Yeah. Well, that's not biblical. You need to, God wants you to protect yourself and to step outside of those situations. But
it's not always a physical abuse by any stretch.
Emotional, mental.
Toxic people, they have a way of working on us mentally, even down to the core of who we are in Christ.
Right.
Those can be some of the most abusive situations that a person stays in.
So I actually did a whole message on forgiveness with the Tuesday night youth girls group, and how forgiving somebody is letting go on the inside of yourself, making that right relationship with you and God and that person, but not necessarily opening yourself up to allow abuse and pain and brokenness to continue on. And so that's where I think the church in the past, some cultures have kind of screwed that up, but I do fully believe that's where the forgiveness steps in. Yeah. Saying, I'm not going to hold this against you anymore as this broken piece in my life, because I know that it's coming between you or me and God. But not letting it continue on.
For me, forgiveness and restoration are not always the same thing. Sometimes they both come at the same time, but they're not always the same thing. Right. And just as we kind of wrap up today and thinking about how to deal with toxic people, I think we would all be in agreement that it's not a one size fits all you confront or you run away or you whatever. I don't know that any wise thinking Christian can look at it and say, this is the response every time. Right. I think that really what it is, nice. It would be really awesome. It would be awesome. But as in everything else in life, I think that it's meant to be something that brings us to the Lord, for us to say, okay, God, I really want to do your will in this, but what is that? What does that look like? How do I because this is wrecking me on the inside.
Right.
Yep.
And so you're the God of me. I'm submitting to you.
Right.
How do you want me to handle it? So I think in some respects, it all does come down to, even though we would like an answer, do this and this works out just fine, I think that a lot of times it's meant to be that thing that drives us back to the Lord, close to Jesus, on our hands and knees, just saying, Lord, what is it that you want? How do I engage with you in this?
Are we trying to control the situation with the toxic person versus allowing God to step in?
Yeah. But I think there is, to your point just a second ago, I think there is a beauty to pointing some of those things out to people and just saying, look, in all transparency, full honesty, I have a hard time whenever I'm around you. And I know that other people do too. And we're not talking about you, but whenever you do these things, these are the reactions that you always get. And you are sucking the life out of us, man.
And forgiveness is not you saying it's okay.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a lot of times where that confusion comes in, especially for students.
Forgiveness is, no, it's not okay.
Jesus said,
I've got to get beyond this, though.
He interrupted and said, now go and sin no more. Like, he didn't say, it's okay. Like, you sinned, it's okay. I forgive you, it's okay. No, it's still sin. And so, I agree. It definitely needs to be confronted. But the few times that I've seen it happen, I wish it was a lot more, but the few times I have seen somebody grab hold of that and actually change, will allow God to change who they were, man, it's been beautiful. Yeah. It's been cool. But sadly, I don't think it happens as much as I'd like it to.
Oh, yeah. It that's
it does
good word,
take
man.
a lot of grace on our part as well. If you're at a point where you know that you're not going to get drugging under, by the toxicity of a person, or you're at a place where you can be of ministry to them. I think that's where Jesus shines the brightest.
Absolutely.
And there are opportunities. I think we've talked, especially as we're coming into our summer ministry things, we've talked about ways to bring broken people in. Everybody's a little bit broken.
Everybody's broken.
But we've been talking about the huge ministry opportunities that are coming up that are so easy to invite the people in your life that you may struggle in ministry with. Yeah. We've got some really exciting stuff coming up.
Yeah. Brandon, as we do close up, and I know that I've already said that, so we're going to hold to it, but tell us real quickly about two opportunities that we've got coming up this summer with both middle school camp and high school camp.
Yeah, so, I know Steven and Kimie have hit it already, and we've hit it as a church from a lot of different ways. We're splitting out our middle school and high school ministry, which is something that's needed to happen for a while. And that's going to be 5th through 8th grade is our middle school, and then 9th through 12th is our high school. And so with that, we've branched out for our camps too. And so June 18th through the 21st is going to be our middle school camp, going to Sky Ranch, which is in Quapaw, Oklahoma. Huge metropolis there in Oklahoma. Yeah, no, there's nothing there except the camp. But it is a beautiful, beautiful camp. Steven and I went out there, and it's just an amazing facility. And I think life change is going to happen there. Yeah. Again, I know many people hear it all the time, but those years in middle school are some of the most important times for us to reach people for Jesus. That's the foundation on which we really build the rest of our lives on. And so that's going to be 18th through the 21st. Again, if you go to firstlevaca.com, click on summer tab, you'll find all the information to sign up there. And it's just going to be so, so good. We've got a lot of things planned for that event. The place itself, they've got the blob, the slip and slides, the archery tag, the paintball. I think for a while they had the biggest zip line in Oklahoma. It might still be.
It may still be.
It's massive.
It's a tandem.
Yeah, tandem meaning two different ones that you can go down, not like two people at once on one as a tandem.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Two zip lines, people go down
one
at the
zip
same
line
time.
and the other one holds on to you.
Yeah.
It's that type of camping in Oklahoma.
It's not.
No.
Parents, please let your kids go.
No, it's going to be incredible. We are so psyched about it, and really our first big outing since COVID. And so it's a big deal, and we believe heavily in it, and we've invested heavily in it. So we believe God's going to really show up and blow the doors off that. Then of course we have our high school camp, which is going to be July, and that's the 21st through the 25th. And we're going to Copper Hill, Tennessee, to a retreat center there. It's somewhere I've been many times in other churches, but we're going to be going whitewater rafting down the Nantahala River and down the Ocoee River. There's paintball, huh?
I said, mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. There's paintball. There's horseback riding. There's a blob. There's swimming. I mean, it's just incredible. More than anything, it's a great getaway. But the whitewater rafting is awesome. But for our students, really, it's just a great time for them to unplug and really to challenge. I have a guy named Tyler Baker. He's the youth pastor at Second Baptist Church in Knoxville, Tennessee. He's going to be speaking for us, and it's just going to be an incredible time. And again, I'm excited about the specificity that comes with 9th through 12th only, and with 5th through 8th only. That means for our speakers, for our band, that means for everything that takes place, we're able to lean into the culture in which our middle schoolers are in. We're able to lean into the life of our high schoolers and speak to them exactly where they are. And so it's just going to be, I know this is, again, our first summer really since COVID, but I think this is going to be one of the biggest, best summers we've ever had. And it's going to set the tone for things to come. I'm just so excited about it. But again, all that, if you go to our website, go to our app, I mean, you can find all the information on it on our summer tab and register and everything.
Yep. So. A lot of the fun things are really to get us to the spiritual places where we can have the conversations. And so it's
absolutely.
I mean, it's going to be a tremendous 2 camps. I hope that if you've got a middle schooler or a high schooler, that you will get them signed up today, because we want to make sure that we've got a spot reserved for them.
Absolutely.
I love it. Well, thanks for joining us today, everybody. Join us again next week. We're going to have Brandon as our guest again because
I'm the best.
He's the best.
No. How dare you.
But he will be joining us next week.
Regardless of that fact, he will be joining us. So we love you guys. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for joining us today on the First Lavaca podcast. You can connect with us online at firstlavaca.com, and make sure to subscribe to our podcast so that you don't miss out on exciting new content. Have a great week.